Where do we begin after a stage like that? Are you as exhausted as we were watching that entire drama unfold? So much to go through, but let's begin with today's stage winner, Richard Carapaz, the current Olympic champion. Not even sure if he would make it to the start line of this Tour de France after crashing out of the Tour de Suisse. He became the first Ecuadorian to win the yellow jersey, and now he completes his Grand Tour set of stage wins after day after day after day of trying in the breakaway. That is pure class from Carapaz, isn't it, Larry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was really impressive. You know, we've seen him so active the last week. Every time the road goes uphill, he's up there. He's fighting for the stage win. And, yeah, finally he made it. And, I mean, yeah, he was so aggressive at the start. And to be able to do it like he did in the final was, yeah, it was crazy.
What a stage to win, Danny. My head's blown after all of that.
And, you know, how long ago do those crosswinds feel? Because it seems like days ago to me. I mean, it was relentless, wasn't it? From start to finish, so many riders active in the break. Visma Elisa bike trying to split things in the crosswind, get Wout van Aert up the road. They did everything right today, you have to say, from the team. You know, Jonas maybe didn't quite have the legs with that explosivity of Tadej Pogacar once again. But, I mean, it was great from start to finish.
Yeah, we'll get to all of that GC drama in a minute because it was juicy, Robbie. I loved it. But Richard Carapaz, EF education first. You got to think well-deserved after all their efforts over the last 3 weeks.
100% well-deserved. As a team, they've been knocking on the door of a stage win throughout this tour. It hasn't gone open. So Richard Carapaz come along and just kicked it on in and took his stage victory today. That was phenomenal because we heard an interview from Andreas Clear, the team director, sort of midway into the stage, and he said after all this attacking and sort of not breaking up, it's not happening yet. I've told my riders at the intermediate sprint, that was after 114 kilometres, that is kilometre zero, your race starts from now. I thought, wow, that means Ben Healy and Richard Carapaz have been attacking in the neutral already because they were attacking 50k before that, going in every group, trying to make things happen. I thought, how can they finish this off with a good result after being so aggressive and using so much energy? But Carapaz was obviously on a day.
Yeah.
What a day out.
Larry, is it possible to try to explain to us just how difficult a day like today was, coming as it does on stage 17 of what has been a brutal Tour de France?
Yeah, I don't think words can really explain how it feels because, I mean, it's already, yeah, stage 17, you're dead, you know, so you start the race, you're dead. We saw the interviews this morning. These guys, they had bags under their eyes, you know, like, I mean, they were talking slow. It surely, taking the start line already is just an accomplishment this morning, and then it was just like on fire today. I mean, it took forever for the breakaway to go. I mean, at one point we just thought it wasn't going to go, and then you fell asleep, and all of a sudden it was gone. No. But yeah, it was impressive.
You missed it all, Robbie. It was a great day.
We said it. This sport is tiring. It was tiring. It was a really hard stage.
Yeah, it tired everyone out, even the people on this side of the TV. But yeah, so no, it was impressive because yeah, even there was one point today where EF, they were off the back. I mean, there was a group of 30 in the front with Pogacar, all the favorites. EF was with Carapaz, with Healy, everyone back there, and somehow they just rode full. They brought the group back, and then they just kept going. And yeah. It
was like a stage of two halves, wasn't it? Where the first half suited very different attributes of riders compared to the second half, which was so back-ended in the climbs that we had in the finish. Not just physically, but mentally tired at this point as well. And when you've tried so many times, you know, fair play to them for sticking at this, because I think it could have been very easy for them to say, actually, do you know what, those GC teams behind are just closing everything down and we'll try and win in a different way, but they haven't, and it's paid off.
Yeah, and it looked like the GC teams were going to keep them on a very tight leash today, Robbie. The mental tenacity that it must take to be either Ben Healy or Richard Carapaz at this stage, and for Carapaz to continue believing, to continue fighting, it's quite phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, the fight, I mean, the fight within them belies the size of the dogs in that fight.
Yeah.
I mean, the climber types, but the way they were on terrain that was not flat because it was a dragging stage for most of the day, it was really heavy, but to put themselves in break after break and make so many attacks. And then the rest of the stage, what we saw from every other team, I think we've seen just about every tactic that exists in cycling played out within today's stage. With as we've talked a lot today about satellite riders up the road, so those placed in breaks going up the road, waiting for team leaders to play a role later on when they get caught. All sorts of different attacking manoeuvres, guys trying to work together. It was, if you took your eyes off it for a few moments, you got completely lost. You go, well, what's happened now and how do we get in this situation?
Never mind if you went for a nap.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like you when you woke up.
I want to have a word on Richard Carapaz, Larry, if you will, because he is a rider. For maybe English-speaking fans or newer fans to the sport may not appreciate just the extent of his class, but he has won the Giro D'Italia. He's won stages at the Giro, stages at the Vuelta. This is his first stage win at the Tour de France. But as we say, he won the yellow jersey a few weeks ago, the first from Ecuador to ever do that. And his run into this Tour de France has been so checkered, from crashing out of the Tour de Suisse to finding out he wasn't selected to defend his Olympic title, which must be a huge emotional blow. So to be able to get to this stage and win a stage of the Tour de France, it's really remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, yeah, reigning Olympic champion, that's huge. And I think the other thing is even last year he didn't have the easiest year. You know, I think big things were expected of him when he arrived at EF, and he didn't quite deliver right at the start. And so I think this year was sort of like his year of redemption. And yeah, it wasn't until now that he really actually got to redeem himself. So that's huge. You know, I'm sure it's a long time coming. It's well-deserved. And, yeah, it was super impressive.
Look at these images as well. This is how you want to win a stage of the Tour de France, riding into these kinds of crowds, eh, Robbie?
I don't know about those kinds of crowd, but it just made me think, it's like all these Christmases come at once. But who dresses in a Santa suit on the side of the road in 35 degrees? But Richard Carapaz, there were no gifts out there today. He went and just grabbed the race by the scruff of the neck, and along with his teammates, of course, has supported him. As Larry said, at one point, Carapaz had been in a break, got caught, missed the next split. They piloted him back to the front. It all started over again. But just what a day out. I'm just in awe of not just his tenacity, but his ability to just keep going again and again, and as many times as it took, and then win the stage solo.
Yeah, keeping that faith all the way through. Unreal. It was absolutely magnificent. Well, let's show you then the top 10 on the stage finish today. After all that drama, all that action, Richard Carapaz is now a Tour de France stage winner to add to his glittering palmarès. Simon Yates then finishing in second. A great result for Simon Yates, who we haven't had much of a chance to talk about so far this Tour, finishing 37 seconds back, 20 ahead of Enric Mas, and then Laurens de Plus, Oscar Onley, Guillaume Martin, Maniscourt, Wout Poels, we mentioned him at the start of the day, and that is the rest of your top 10. Right, we have to get to the GC chat, because we started the day, Larry, discussing, debating whether it would be a GC day, whether it would be a break day, and it looked for a long time like the GC guys were going to try to control this. Then, finally, the break was allowed to go. Okay, now we can rest easy. They're going to take it nice and gently into the line. Then this man decides differently. I mean, talk to me about Tadej Pogačar, what he did today.
Yeah, you know, I think at the start they probably had a certain idea, but then the way it went in the race with just how long and how hard it was for the break to go and everything, I think that made everyone change their mind a bit. You know, I think people sort of, they refocused and thought, okay, maybe we'll just let the break go now, because it's a lot of energy if we want to take the stage. But yeah, then they were riding just a normal pace, and I guess Tadej was probably a bit fed up with how it had gone the whole day and was a bit annoyed and just decided, okay, I'm going for it. And maybe he was behind Jonas, maybe he thought he saw a little bit of weakness and said, okay, I'm going to just give it a go and see if I can gain a few more seconds, which he did. He almost gained a lot more than a few, but yeah, it was close.
Yeah, it felt like Jonas was taking a right hook and a left hook from Visma Leasebike all day, Robbie, and this was him fighting back, wasn't it?
Well, he was trying to fight back. I mean, during the day, it seemed that they were the big, agitators of the stage, trying to split things up and send riders up the road and create situations where they could get Tadej Pogačar on the back foot. When it wasn't working out and everything sort of shut down, it almost seemed like Tadej looked around and went, you know what, you guys have ridden the race back to front. You're supposed to go hard at the end and easy in the beginning. And maybe also the fact that UAE didn't chase, ride for the stage win, then bid no Tadej Pogačar attacks. that I think maybe in Tade's mind is sort of, it makes it look like I'm not good enough or I might be struggling, so I'm going to make an attack just to remind everybody who's the boss around here, and I think he just loves it.
Yeah, I love how you are trying to second-guess his psychology. I think he just attacks, doesn't he?
That's what he wants.
I'm Taddy, I do what I like, and what I like is attacking. And here, Danny, we can see Jonas Vingegaard giving a little shake of the head as Remco is the rider who's managing to stay closest to Tadej here.
Yeah, so initially Jonas tries to follow Tadej, and then Remco goes past Jonas. And you could see a little shake of the head by Jonas going backwards. And it's just that explosivity, again, that Tadej has over both of those riders that stood him in great stead there to attack at that moment on that climb. And then just going back to Visma, they did everything right there. It was just that Jonas didn't quite have the legs at that moment. It was lucky that he then had Tish Benoot, one of the riders of the day for me, who was in that initial break with Wout van Aert, to be able to bridge that gap back to Remco before he then went again and put some time into Jonas in the final.
I mean,
you know, I've been taking some body language lessons from Adam. He's been giving me some of his...
People reading is how he calls
reading,
it, yeah.
That's it, yeah. So the biggest thing I saw from Jonas, not such a shake of the head, but just dropping of the head. Really, and twice in a row. I don't know if they're saying something on the radio, but his head just dropped like, oh, I'm gone. And then this moment at the end where we're only 300 metres to go, but Tadej thought, I'll just throw another one while Jonas is on the ropes. And it looks like it... To me, it looked like a 2-second gap at the finish, and it is a summit finish, so any gap between them, and it is more than 10 metres.
That
so
man loves
that should be a time
spike,
gap,
doesn't he?
Yeah.
He just loves race. He didn't need 2 seconds there. He had, what, 3 minutes and 9 seconds over Jonas?
He didn't need 2 seconds, but it felt along the road, Larry, that he could have gotten an awful lot more. So, yes, Jonas dropped the head. Yes, they weren't able to deliver any kind of a blow after all the effort of Isma Lisa Bike and the entire team all day. But I think, given all of that, Jonas would probably take a 2-second gap, wouldn't they? A 2-second extension.
100%. You know, I mean, it looked like it could have been more than that. And, you know, I think after such a hard day, he'll be happy to only have lost 2 seconds. But again, I think with Tadej, it is something where he's just like, yeah, I mean, Visma, they rode perfectly the whole day. And I think he wanted to show, well, like, look, I'm still here. I'm still Tadej. And, yeah, I'm still a yellow jersey.
Yeah.